Welcome to the Veterans Impact Show, where our commitment is to help, hope, and healing of our veteran family and our nation. I'm Jim Blythe, a U.S. Navy veteran and a certified senior advisor. Join us as we continue the mission of leadership and commitment to our communities and our great country. Why, you never know where we're going to go or who you're going to meet. We invite you to join in, plug in, and share in what we do. This is your Veterans Impact Show. Hey, welcome aboard today. I'm Jim Blythe, your host, U.S. Navy veteran, Vietnam. I'm the old guy around here. Joining me, my co-host Cedric White, one of the most amazing marriage counselors, ministers I have ever seen. I got to tell you, he brings so much to what we do and working together. And he and I have some plans for some Bible studies, some other things that will be just exciting for people to be involved in. I have a very special guest today. I want to tell you, I got to meet this guy thanks to Symbios. And he is an amazing person, and what he has been through and what he's done and how he's recovered and what he's doing to help his fellow NFL players. Meet Mike Moore, NFL Players Association local president, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you founded this ProLiving.life,
Yep.
correct?
Yes, sir.
I got to tell you, what you're doing is amazing, but you got injured. Here's one of the things we talked about, Mike. There are a lot of similarities between playing in professional sports, especially the NFL.
Yes.
And then when you get out of it, man, you lost your purpose. You're in a whole different world.
For sure.
You ain't doing what you're not doing.
For sure.
And then the other part of that is, so many times you guys have injuries that are almost identical to what many of our combat veterans or people who get hurt in the military.
Yes.
And so what you've done with your life is truly amazing. So Mike Moore, welcome aboard, buddy.
Well,
I'm glad to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on the show. I've been waiting to come on. I've heard so much great things. I've seen your show, been following, and I was just like, man, when is Jim going to invite me on?
It wasn't soon enough, but here we are.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, I want you to tell your story of how you got started, but how you got hurt. And what you had, because you had brain operations, you had spinal operations. What happened to you, and how did you get injured?
For sure. Well, honor to you, Mr. Jim. Honor to you, Mr. White, for being able to have me on this great show. Born and raised in Dallas, Texas. Went to Skyline, the amazing Skyline High School. Graduated from Skyline High School as a Texas top 50 player, went to Kansas State University on a gray shirt year. And the reason why I had to go to Kansas State on a gray shirt year is because Jerry Kill got the job a week before signing day and told me he didn't want me anymore. And so we had to go back to the drawing board. And in Kansas State, Texas Tech, and the University of Miami was still on the table for me. Kansas State had a scholarship, but I had to wait till after signing day to sign with either Texas Tech or the University of Miami. And so I sat down with my parents and they said, hey, go with who wants you first. And we went to Kansas State University. And I tell you, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, the Bible tells us that, for I know the plans that I have for you,
you bet,
to do you good and not harm.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be able to prosper, and that's what he definitely did. So I went down to Kansas State University. That first semester that I got down to Kansas State University was rough. Coming from the inner city, going out to a major PWI institution, it was a big wake-up call, and it was something that I never experienced before. I had never had a white coach coming up in my little league to middle school to high school. And when I go into the PWI system, it's 95% of white coaches. And so from being able to just take the information that they was giving me, it was hard for me to be able to detect if they was here for me or if they was just picking on me. And so I had a lot of emotional responses that was okay in high school, but it was not okay when I went into college. And
I want to stop you right there. How many drill instructors, Cedric, you're a Navy veteran, how many drill instructors did you see, or I know mine was tougher than nails, and they do the same thing?
Yes.
And you're going, is this guy trying to help me, or is this guy trying to beat me up?
Yeah.
And drum me out? Cedric, is that not true? Uh-oh.
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 Uh-oh. We don't have you.
We lost your voice.
You guys go ahead.
Yeah,
We
no,
can hear you
okay.
now. We can hear you now.
All
No,
right,
we hear you
all
now.
right, all right. Yeah, because I was trying to butt in on Mike when he mentioned Skyline. I was like, watch it now. I went to Wilma Hutchins. Or that's another conversation.
Hey, wait a minute,
I
guys.
got you.
I went to Bryan Adams.
Oh, there we go. Brian, that was my home school. Brian Adams.
Yeah. I got to tell
But
you.
I had a drill instructor, a little short guy. He couldn't have been more than 5'5", Petty Officer Yokelson. And he had that Northeast Boston accent. He'd be in your face, be spitting, and I was sort of the same way. I was like, man, knock this little guy out.
Yes.
But it took a level of maturity. It took a level of learning because, of course, just like you, Mike, when you get in that situation, it's like, okay, they're training you, they're preparing you for something that you haven't been used to.
Yes.
And quite often it takes a lot to have the mindset, the mental capacity to take that. So yeah, you never know whether they're for you or against you. And then, some of the things you've been taught makes you think, hey, is this a racial thing or not? No,
Yes.
they just need you to learn something.
Yes.
And that was one of the things about my DI.
Uh-huh.
He had been a survivor when the Japanese invaded China.
Wow.
And he and 3 other guys literally escaped capture by walking 1,250 miles to Vladivostok.
Wow.
And the Russians were so amazed that they turned them over to the Americans, where in some cases they didn't. But
Right.
he was always pushing us. And I know what you're talking about. Is this some kind of problem? We got a problem here?
Mm-hmm.
He was pushing us to prepare us. Same thing for the NFL, because I think that while I thought Tom Landry was one of the greatest coaches in the world, I never was under him. He was always so stern-faced, and you may like, man, don't want to mess with him. So we got it. We figured that out. But go ahead. I'm sorry. We interrupted you.
Playing for Bill Snyder, there was a grandfather coach, and so we get all these questions. How was it playing under Bill Snyder? And the thing that really saved my career and saved my life was his son, Sean Snyder. I came back and he said, hey, you have a great opportunity here, but take the information that's given and don't look at the skin tone that it's coming from. And once I understood that, and I was able to, and it took me a while to practice it, but once I truly trusted the process and the system, and at the same time, you hit it on the head. When you go into college, not even just before you even get into the NFL, but the college system main job, when they really never break this down to athletes coming up. No athletes, I don't feel like they break it down to. The college system is there to break you and to build you up and how they want you to be able to come and play. Because these coaches' jobs are on the line. This is how they feed their families.
Yeah.
And if they don't win, if they're not performing, they're not producing, they get fired and they have to figure out another way to be able to feed their family. I see you wanted to say something, so
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
and so being able to, me out looking in now and understanding the system and how the system works, if you're able to just what we call it, bite the bit and go through it and make it through it, you'll be successful. And at the same time, you'll gain your teammates' trust, your coach's trust, and you'll be able to run through walls and be successful.
Run through walls. Yeah. That's what they trained us to do. And I mean, firefighting school, Cedric, you remember when we went that? Yeah. But you got injured somewhere in there.
Yes.
Tell me what happened.
So going into my so at the beginning of my college playing days, I started taking cortisol shots, and Toradol. Toradol is a drug that they give us before every game, and it numbs you up basically and gives you the ability to run through walls, and not feel pain. The problem with Toradol is that it doesn't heal the problem; it just masks the pain, and so you're beating your body ligaments up even more. And so after you come down off of Toradol, you're in so much pain, and you've done more damage to the tissue and the muscle, and you haven't healed it. And so from my freshman year all the way up leading to my junior year, I've been taking a shot before every game.
Oh,
every
man.
game I get a Toradol shot.
Man.
And so after our first game against Stephen F. Austin, had a great game, but I started having back pain. But in college and growing up, my dad always taught me it's the difference between pain and injury. You feeling a little pain, or you injured and you cannot play anymore. And at the end of the day, if you're not on the field, it's hard for you to be able to make it to the NFL. I went to college to go to the NFL. That was what we set. That was the goal and the plan that we set out. And then my college coach told me, on my recruit, hey, I know you see the school, I know you see everything around here, but you come here to play football. He looked at my parents, and my parents looked at him back, and they said, you come here to play football, you'll get a degree, don't worry about that, but your goal is to make it to the NFL. And so we had that vision and the focus already at the front, and I don't give a dang what came up against us, hell or hot water. we was gonna make it to the NFL, and thank God we was able to do that. But my body started breaking down, and my body went through rhabdomyolysis. If you don't know what rhabdomyolysis is, that's when your muscles start breaking down in your kidneys.
Oh, wow.
And so I got entered into the hospital, and I was in the hospital for a week. My creatinine level was at a 3.5. If your creatinine level goes to a level 5, you start having kidney problems. Your kidney shut down, and you're in major trouble. And so, by the grace of God, I was able to get into the hospital that night. I stayed in the hospital for a week. They regulated my levels, but at the same time, when I left the hospital, my equilibrium was still off. I was still regurgitating everything I had on my stomach, and I didn't have any strength. And so Kansas State was still pushing like, hey, we need you back on the field. But my mom was like, hold on, we need to do a full body MRI scan. We had to have a CAT scan to figure out what's truly going on. We went through that process. I went through blood test work for like 2 weeks trying to figure out everything. Come to find out, I had a pituitary tumor. Went in on a Saturday, thinking that I was about to get cleared, and my trainer Matt said, "Hey, you have a brain tumor." And when he told me that, my first question was, "When can I get back playing ball?" His thing was, "Mike, I don't truly understand. I don't truly think you understand what I just told you. You have a brain tumor. It's no more playing football." And that was the first time I ever heard it's time for you to start thinking about things outside of ball. Wow. When he told me that, my whole world crushed, because I never in my whole entire life, I've been playing football since I was 5. And my dad always told me, wouldn't it be great to make it to the NFL to play a child's game for the rest of your life? That's what we hear all day, every day. And as we understand now, that dream is not a reality. You cannot play football for the rest of your life. But got here with that, and I had already graduated with my undergrad degree, and so they was gonna keep me on for the rest of the season. And he was like, "Hey, you're part of the team. We'll keep you around the team." But my mission and my goal was, like I said, to make it to the NFL. So they set me up with an endocrinologist down in Topeka, Kansas, Charsley Sender. Shout out to Miss Charsley, because she was amazing. When I went down to see Dr. Sender, first thing she tells me, "Mike, how are you able to perform at this high level? You have the testosterone level as a 75-year-old man. Your body is operating as if you're 75 right now. How are you playing ball on a high college level? How are you able to produce your son?" Because I just had a son at the time. You're not even supposed to be able to produce kids. Are you sure your son is yours? Like, you hitting a lot of these different questions, and I'm like,
wow.
I'm like, hold on now, like, yeah, my son is mine, and it was just amazing to me what the power, and I'm a spiritual guy, and just when 8 out of 9 doctors tell you that you'll never play football again, that they have to break your skull open, you'll be on medicine for the rest of your life, that they'll have to pull your whole pituitary gland out. And it was one doctor that said that he could do experimental surgery to where they cut under my lip, broke my nose, moved it to the side, and went through my nails canal to cut my tumor out piece by piece. But I had to get accepted by the hospital because it was in Bethesda, Maryland, the NIH. It's right across the street from the Walter Reed. Yeah. I had to get accepted into that governmental hospital because it was such a rare case. Thankful to God, they accepted me into the hospital, and we went down April 17, 2015, and we had brain surgery. After brain surgery, we went back for a follow-up, and that 6 months, and I was back at Kansas State, May 2015, starting my recovery, get back to the field. And it wasn't an easy recovery. When I went back to Kansas State, I could barely walk 50 yards without having to sit down and have to take a break. And my trainer told me, Mindy Hoffman, who's the head trainer down at Kansas State right now, she said, "Mike, I understand what you've been through. Everybody understands what you're going. They may not understand the significance of what you're going through, but for you to be able to be back and for your body to be able to heal up, you have to be positive. Even when you don't feel it, be positive, fake the positivity, because you don't understand the strength that you'll be able to give your teammates, but also it allows your body to heal and recover faster." And
so you had people giving you hope.
Yes.
And you had people giving you help.
Yes.
And as a result, you healed.
Yes, sir. We healed up, and within 2 months, I was back starting at Kansas State University in my position, my linebacker position, by that August. And we started back playing that upcoming season. Coming into that September, my father passed away. And that was one of the biggest blows that hit my whole entire family. I graduated, like I said, within 2 years of my undergrad degree. And so, once you graduate, you can transfer colleges, you can come back home, you can do things of that nature. And my father had a landscaping business. And so it was up on me to be able to figure out, are we going to finish at Kansas State University, or are we going to, end the season and transfer back to SMU? But it was one of the things that my parents always taught me growing up. You never quit anything that you start. You finish it all the way through and you see it through. And I'll be honest with you, that little piece of advice blessed me and helped me to be able to come what I am today, because if I would have left Kansas State University, there's no telling what I would have been doing today. But the fact that we stayed down there, our season turned all the way around. I finished the season within 5 games with like 85 tackles. We had we was the defensive player of the bowl game.
Wow!
And it was an exciting time.
You must have been vicious, dude.
Oh, I adopted the mindset that I wanted to die on the field, and I'll be completely honest with you. I was going through some harsh times. I lost my father. Me and my wife wasn't having good times. We had 2 babies at the time. It was emotions everywhere. We was young, playing ball, and it was. I went through a divorce. And my divorce was finalized 3 days before the draft. And so I tell individuals all the time, I gained the world when I made it to the NFL, but I lost my soul at the same time. I know we heard that before.
Wow.
And so once I went into the NFL, I was with the Chargers, and I had to have back surgery. And I truly believe that God took me out of football because, like I said, I was on a mission and on the verge to die. I wanted to die on the field, and that was my only passion, to be able to live for, just be able to have that warrior's death. But when I went into the NFL, and the NFL found out that I had brain surgery in college, back surgery in NFL. Hold on, Mike. Brain surgery, back surgery, we can't pay for your body anymore. And that's when I truly understood the system of the game and the system that the NFL is, because 95% of all professional athletes are fired. They don't retire from the game. They don't walk away from the game on their own. They don't get a call back, and they have to figure out what's next. What does life look after the game? And when I was going through that transition, I went through suicide. I went through a lot of heartache and pain, just trying to figure out that purpose. Who am I? My camaraderie, that teammate. And you touched on it before, the similarities from the veterans, the first responders, professional athletes. When you retire, you lose your sense of purpose, because from wake up to, the
Cedric,
end.
can you imagine having a guy with this kind of passion and drive as part of your crew? Golly, let me tell you.
Trust me, my mind is wheeling over here. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and I think this is amazing. So we're going to take a break in just a second to hear from our partners, Fairway Independent Mortgage, that I work for. My MLS number is 311548. I'm specialized. I work with the elderly. I'm a certified senior advisor. And also Symbiosis Integrative Health. Actually, that's where I met Michael. Incredible. Look us up, symbiosccn.com. And of course, without a doubt, Heart Fellowship, the church we go to. So we're going to be right back after these words. This is Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you with hope, help, and healing. Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Hearts Ministry, and Symbiosis Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation. Okay, my wife just jumped me. I've got to say it again. Help, hope, and healing. That's what Cedric and I are all about. He is an incredible minister, now very, very close friend. And I got to tell you, it's a joy to be part of Heart Fellowship, Cedric. And it's up in Prosper, Texas. Look us up. It's worth being a part of this. It's not about religion. It's about a relationship. And boy, I tell you what, that means a lot to me. And here we're talking with Mike Moore, who is NFL Players Association. So you were telling us your story. Cedric, you were going to ask him a question.
That Mike has dropped. So hopefully when this airs, my hope and my prayer is that people will listen closely to all of the things, the transitions, the seeds that were planted into Mike by his parents, the things that he had to, regardless as to what your parents say, you have to take those things and live it out. Mike talked about mind over matter, right? His ability, the thoughts that he had that drove him when the doctor told him, you shouldn't be able to do this, you shouldn't be able to do this, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't have a child, all the things that man can tell you that you should not have, you should not be doing, and he was doing them to everybody's amazement. And you know, my favorite scripture, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? I love that because he was living that. And then the proverb says, what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so Mike had put it down inside of himself that here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be just a statistic off to the side of the road. When the NFL said they couldn't do it, he was saying, I'm going to do this. And that's quite often just the mindset of, I won't quit, I won't sit down, I won't fall back, I won't allow the negativity of the things that are coming into my mind, that are coming to me, I won't allow them to control me. I can do more. And everybody from the quadriplegic to the person that's running 25K marathons has something to offer if they can get their mind and their heart in check. And Mike is a perfect example of that. I love his story. I love it.
I got to tell you, we're going to have him as one of our next speakers when we do our symposium, without a doubt. All right, now, so you leave the NFL.
Yes, 2019 I retired.
2019.
Yes.
When did you start pro living?
In 2000, so pro living, I started pro living 2 years ago. We started out in We Living. When I retired from the NFL in 2019, that was the same year that the Hall of Fame players presented Roger Goodell, our commissioner, with a proposal. Hey, Roger, take $10 million off your $40 million salary so that you can provide 531 players at the time. Out of 20,000 former players that are walking the earth, they only wanted to provide 531 players health insurance and a salary. Well, when Roger Goodell took a look at the proposal, he turned it down. He denied it. Well, we started looking at why did Roger Goodell turn that down? In my mind, if our Hall of Fame players are begging Roger Goodell for money and health insurance, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
If at the top of the tier is the 1% is begging for money. And so I started looking at what does the Hall of Fame jacket do for us? And I started learning that the only thing that the Hall of Fame jacket gives the players the opportunity to receive more endorsements. A lot of these players have stints and taints on in their background and their history coming up, and so that makes it hard for them to get employed, to get endorsements to be able to pay and provide for their families.
Yeah.
And so we started doing a deep dive and looking at, okay, if you take $10 million, you divide that between 531 players, $9,000 a piece is going to go to insurance. That's going to leave players from a $531 around that area from a salary standpoint. That's not a lot of money for you to be able to live off of.
No.
At the same time, I went through the NFL, different portals, the transitional portals and pieces that they have out there for us, and I felt like a lot of it was smoke and mirrors. I got signed up with Bank of America and a lot of different other companies, and then it all came down to the same thing. Mike, we love your story. We love everything that you've been through. We can definitely see how you add value, but you don't have the work experience that we're looking for. You've been playing football all your life. Well, yeah, I have been. So does 95% of other athletes. They've been playing the sport their whole life, and that's why I understood that when professional athletes retire from the game, we are similar to a college graduate. We're identical to it. We don't have the work experience, and employees would rather take a college graduate and get that opportunity and a chance than take a former professional athlete just because of the pay scale. And at the same time, a lot of employees may feel that former older athletes are tainted. You know, these young, energetic, younger collegiate individuals, they're more impressionable. They can come in, they can come in and pick up.
They can imprint them the way they want them.
You know, train them up in the way they should go.
Exactly.
And so when I look at that and I saw it, I said, okay, well, every time I go somewhere, you know, people are asking me, volunteer here, come speak here, can you come sign up and do this? But nobody's really worried about how do I feed my families. And I went into the education system because I saw it was a gap and a need there for us. And I said, how do we take these former professional athletes and give them the work experience provide them the work experience that they need, but at the same time, be able to mentor and develop our next generation? How are we able to bring balance to the education system?
What a visionary.
Yes, sir.
That makes a lot of sense. And so you started this. Tell us a little bit about Pro Living, and you got the Pro Living TV. Where is that?
Yes, sir. So we started in We Living. We was in a nonprofit vehicle, and I built that up for 4 years. And I started going in and doing programming, mental health training, professional development training at Skyline High School. But we was always coming short trying to find the dollars to be able to support our system. One of the biggest things about nonprofits that I learned, which is nothing against nonprofits, I love them, support them all. But when you're a nonprofit and you try to work with other nonprofits and donors start putting in money, you got to be able to do a report. And some of my donors are like, well, Mike, where did this money go? Where did this money go? Where I supported them, I supported this over here. Well, Mike, if we want to support them, we could have put our money over there. And so we said, okay, well, let's go into a for-profit vehicle. At the same time, I got pushed back a lot because they didn't see value in playing players. A lot of individuals came to me and said, Mike, you worried about the former players and not worried about the students. But my biggest thing was we have to be able to capture our students' attention. You got to be able to capture your audience, whatever kind of information that you want to be able to provide to them, you got to capture their attention. Put an athlete on campus, you bring balance to the campus, you capture their attention, and at the same time, now I'm able to provide you all the information and the resources that you need. The Bible tells us in Hosea 4:6, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. And that is the number one thing that I came short when coming into the NFL is I didn't have the knowledge and the wisdom on how the system works. And that's what made me a systematic thinker.
So that's when you developed this. All right,
sir.
we're going to take another break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about what they're doing with TV, what they're doing in training people. What they're doing is amazing. This is what it's all about. Transformation and restructuring your life after the military, after the NFL, and many times as life changes you. We're right back.
Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Hearts Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation.
Man, what a conversation. I mean, to tell you, I've met Michael Moore several times, and you're the local president of the NFL Players Association, but you also gotten involved with Thin Blue Line and all these things. I want to go back, though, to your pro living because you are so involved.
Yes, sir.
You are helping people.
Yes, sir.
Your passion, which went from football to being the guy who made, how did you say, 85 tackles one game?
Woo! Not in the game, in the season. Lord.
Oh, okay. I'm going. All right.
We do that.
Mike, that would mean you made all the tackles in that game.
Okay. Good thing I clarified that, man. But
the most tackles we had in the game was 18 tackles.
Really?
The most tackles we had in the game, yes.
Wow.
That was against West Virginia.
But let me ask you a question. Every time you tackle somebody, you got beat up a little bit, didn't you?
Oh, yes, indeed. They say it's like a train wreck. And I'll tell you, that's the biggest thing that I deal with today is missing the body, the collisions, missing and hurting and implementing pain. Not only through myself, but other individuals. That's part of that PTSD that individuals go through when they leave combat. And I still deal with it today. I get jitters at times. That's why I work out and I got to stay moving. I got to stay focused because I tell individuals this, I was taught and bred to dominate a person mentally and physically, especially playing from a defensive side of the game. And when you are removed from the game and you've been taught to be able to handle your problems or solve things from a physical standpoint and you're not in that arena anymore, that transition right there alone is huge and it hurts.
It's the same thing with combat veterans. It's the same thing. We are trained. We're put there. You survive. Sometimes you get injured. You know, the percentage, some of the ads and things out there right now trying to raise money would make you think every guy in the military gets hurt. Not true. Very, very small percentage. But we've got to take care of everybody. And one of the biggest problems is this mental change, this transition.
Yes.
I was very fortunate.
Jim,
huh?
I'm sorry. I was
No,
just gonna
go,
say one of the
please,
things
brother.
In going from, okay, I'm actively involved in football. I'm actively involved in combat or in the military. Is we get that factor of worth and value. We lose that, right? We forget. Quite often, we've allowed our self-worth to be determined by the value that an outside entity and outside action has put on us. So our worth, although it doesn't change whether we're in an active football player, an active military person or veteran, our intrinsic worth doesn't change, but our value system was placed upon us by our ability to play football, to the crowds, our activity, as Mike was saying, right, in being in battle, our team being on the ship, being with the group, being deployed. That's where the value came from. And when that's removed, then our self-worth, mentally and spiritually, our self-worth takes a hit, and we need help with that quite often.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about here. And then when you add the physical aspect, physical pain, physical injury that happens after, now I feel like, okay, now I'm really not worth anything, because not only can I not perform like I used to or do what I used to do, now I'm even less valuable because I have injury. And a lot of that, as Mike was saying, comes with that PTSD, that post-traumatic. I'm still thinking in the past and dealing with the present pain.
Yes.
And it's huge. We have to help people with that.
Absolutely. Now, Mike, what motivated you? What got you to go forward with the pro living? How did you get that started? You were starting.
Okay. I have to say, it was my love for people. One of my staff members brought it up to me yesterday. He said, Mike, I finally figured you out. And I said, what is that? He said, you want to be able to help people not go through what you went through. When you see everything that I built, that I've been blessed to build, because I feel like I'm a vessel, everything, God has been able to take me through these different variables in my life. And one of the things that I understood is that you may not understand why you may be going through this certain situation, but it's not for you, because when I was younger, and even still today, I used to pray this prayer all the time. God, use me for your will. Use me for your will, but you never know. You got to be careful when you pray that prayer, because you never know how he's going to be able to use you. And when I went through brain surgery, when I went through my divorce, I'll mind you that me and my wife got remarried in 2020. We have 5 kids. I got married to the same woman, and that is unheard even within itself.
That's right.
Wow.
But being able just to be able to understand that when you're able to speak from a place of wisdom, from experience, that you're able to walk this out, that is where true healing comes from. That's when you're able to truly help somebody be able to change. And my love for people, and seeing that I was told my whole life that the only way you could be successful is making it to the NFL. My dad had a landscaping company, and I've been able to see how individuals make money by using their bodies from a labor standpoint. But the biggest disheartening thing when I got at the NFL that led me into suicide and heartache and pain is being able to see individuals making money without using their bodies. They're making money on the phone. They're making money by doing other things, and they're becoming financially freedom, because that's what we do this for.
Yeah.
They become financially free, and they don't have the back pain that I have. They don't have the mental instability that I have. And where was that when I was younger? When I went into the school system, I started talking to my students, like so many other adults come in and they say, hey, this world is yours. You can do whatever you want to do. You can become a doctor, a lawyer. And I'm having these conversations with my students. My students said, Mr. Moore, stop talking to me about that. I don't want to hear it. You had help. You had support. If you're not bringing anybody that can show me and walk it down, how can I become a doctor? How can I become a lawyer? Stop talking to me about what I can, because that's not in front of me. And I said, wow, okay, I can meet you there.
Mike, have you ever heard of the I know you're familiar with PTSD. Have you ever heard of the term PTG?
No, sir.
PTG is literally what you're living right now, right? PTSD, post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic stress disorder. We teach PTG. You take that PTSD and you use it for PTG, post-traumatic growth. So you're going to take what you went through, you've taken it. The pain, the injury, the experience, everything that you went through that would be described today as PTSD, you're using it in a PTG arena, post-traumatic growth. So you're taking, whereas you are here, you experience the pain, all the things that you went through, and it takes you down here. And so it's like, okay, for most people, they just want to get back to where they were. But PTG says, no. PTSD takes you here. Now PTG, you're going to take it, surpass where you were, and use it in a way that's going to, like you said, help people. You're going to use what you went through, the pain, the things that you suffered, even with your wife and having divorced. Now you guys get back together. You can teach somebody that in the way of relationship, in the way of overcoming issues that they've had. You're doing it, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Jordan, would you please put up his pro living website so we can show people? How can you get in touch with these guys? How can you get in touch and learn I tell you what is so amazing, Mike. You've got business development consultation. You've got transition program for athletes. Have you ever thought about making that transition program work for military as well?
Yes, we actually had a conversation. We're working with a company called Dream Smart with Jeff Morrison, former Marine. And I have to stop saying that. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Always a Marine.
But we was having that conversation. He said, Mike, the same thing that you are facing is the same thing that the veterans. How can we provide this job opportunity for veterans as well? Because like you talked about, it's a lot of individuals that transition from the military necessarily hasn't seen combat, and those individuals at the same time struggle with transitioning at the same time. So yes, we are setting up an opportunity for us to be able to take on veterans and help them transition and take them through this process and put them on campus.
That's something that's passionate with both Cedric and I. How can we help? How can we help people with that transition? I do know the military's got, I believe it's about a week courses that you sit in front of a computer. I've never seen it. When I got out of the Navy, they said, by the way, don't let the gate hit you in the rear end. Just goodbye.
It said bye-bye.
And bye. And mine was even funnier than that, but we can't tell that on television.
But I tell you, Jim, you asked me a question. You said, where did this come from? I have to give credit to God putting bright people in your lives. I had the opportunity to meet Krista Chen. Krista Chen is the vice president of the NBA PA from the basketball side.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to Krista Chen. Her job is to be able to help NBA players transition. And I'm having a conversation with Chris, and I'm like, hey, Krista, I met NBA players. I'm working with the NFL players. Like, I see that this transition and struggle, y'all really don't do nothing for us. Those were my words, but y'all really don't do nothing for us when it comes to transition. She said, baby boy, hold on. Don't ever say that to anybody in my position. You can talk to me this way because of the relationship, but don't ever say anything because you sound ignorant and you sound dumb. You're walking around here like so many other professional athletes that are broken, that are bitter, and that are hurt, feeling like the NFL did you wrong. The NFL didn't do you wrong. They taught you about the physical side. Nobody never taught you about the business side of the game. So if you want to ever have passion or ever have traction in what you're doing, educate individuals about the system. And that's one of the things that when you transition from any job, and she broke this down for me, and that's why I got 95% of athletes get fired. When you go through any job and you get fired, they give you a service package and they say, all right, on your way. But for us, we feel like they should, I saw that it was a need to where when we retire, they let us go, but where's that foundation? How do you find that purpose? How do you find that village? Because as we talked about, from sun up to sundown, our schedule is set for us.
Let me ask you a question. Is there a similarity with police officers? Because you're involved with the Thin Blue Line. Tell us a little bit about that.
So TBL, Thin Blue Line, I'm representing a spokesperson for TBL. They are a mental health platform at the same time. They offer life insurance, a retired insurance package for all firefighters and police officers around the nation. And so I got hooked up with them because my brother is a police officer. I have cousins that are police officers, and I support police officers and first responders. And similar, Walter Carter, my stepfather, he's also one of the individuals that came from a Marine, was a detective in Garland, and he helped me a lot doing it when I was going through my transition, because he's like, Mike, I've seen it. You're going through exactly what I went through. And that's where I came, and the fire came from, okay, I was an entertainer my whole life because that's the only thing that football is. We're a gladiator on the field, but at the end of the day, we are nothing but entertainers. When you leave the military, you are fighting and putting everything on the line for your country. But when you leave that space, where's your value? And we lose our value. We lose that teammate. We lose that sense of purpose. And how do we take these high-powered individuals that have been able to battle and work through things and be able to take those passions and turn it into a workable asset? Because at the end of the day, if I cannot provide for my family as a man, that is the biggest mental detriment that you can come into. And that's what a lot of males come into when they can't provide, when they're sitting on the sideline. When I've been a hero and I can't be able to feed my family, hold on, there's a problem with that. And that's where this passion and this system came from, because if you see that today in society, the man is not really valued, has value. And we have to be able to bring man and purpose back into our economy and our society.
Watch out, Mike. You're going to be labeled as, what's the term nowadays? I forget the terminology, but masculinity. What is it?
Activist.
Yeah. I got it. You better be careful, man. You're trying to be a real man with man feelings and hormones and testosterone. You better be careful. So we deal with real men stuff here.
Absolutely. And one of the things is it's not just professional athletes. It's not just military.
Right.
I was a rising star in the commercial real estate industry. I was doing great. And then the savings and loan crisis, I saw it coming. I sold out. I got off a $20 million worth of personal liability literally within about 30 days.
Wow.
And everybody thought, you're nuts, Jim. I mean, why did you do that? I could see it coming. I do believe God. I'm flying a plane back and I see all this construction and I go, wow. And I believe God said to me, go find out. And I went to the guy who did feasibility study and said, yeah, we're about to have a major real estate crash. I knew that I didn't have the resources to be able to do that. And so I sold out. My life, I'd bounced from job to job to job. I couldn't get direction. The good thing that happened to me, my good friend Michael Spears, who was running KRLD Radio, the CBS affiliate, asked me to come in and co-host a talk show about real estate and mortgage. And I go, wait a minute. These guys are making more money doing mortgages and getting paid every month than and taking no liability. So I got into the mortgage business. My transition was very hard. And that is just so many people in life have worked for a company, bang, company changes hands. You lose your job. I've been doing this for 15 years, 20 years. What do I do now? These things that you're talking about, these things that you do are not just for athletes, not just for combat veterans.
No, it's for people. We love people. And that's why I say, I have a true love for people, and I lost it at one point in time when I was going through, when I went through everything, and I was going through my pain, my trauma, and then started thinking about self. Well, when I start serving others, and that's where the power comes from my mentorship program. When you start mentoring and serving other individuals, you're able to find your strengths within them, and at the same time, you're helping them gain their strengths.
You bet.
And that's where the growth truly comes from, and that's why I say. If you're able to mentor somebody, you're able to pass wisdom on, take that on, because you'll be surprised on what it does for you and where you're able to go. If you live with a servant heart, God will definitely take care of you and make sure that you have everything that you need. So when you look at our Heroes Project, when we go on campus, schools think that, oh, we're taking NFL players or veterans and we put them on campus and we're talking about those are heroes. No, we're simply helping you become and discover your own superpowers, because nobody's going to come in here and save you. You have to be able to save yourself.
I want to help and work. See, I got two absolutely amazing friends in Cedric and Mike, and I want to be working with them. I want to be helping them. Again, Mike, how can people find you? How can people talk to you? What's the best way? Go to
You can go to our website at proliving.life. You can go to our other website from the education, myheroesproject.org. You can find me on Instagram at C_more KSU. If you type in my government name, Shermike Moore, I'll spell it out for you. CHARMEA, you can find me everywhere and they'll pull up everything.
I tell you what. I think you need to. I think everybody, and man, it just occurred to me, how many wives go through divorce and they've been taking care of the family, and now all of a sudden they've got to make a huge transition and make a living.
Yeah.
They got to put food on the table. It's not just about men. It happens to women too. So when we come back, we're going to finish up this conversation with an amazing couple of guys that I am so glad to be friends with. Cedric White, Minister, Marriage Counselor, and Mike Moore. Unbelievable what you're doing for veterans, for athletes, for the community, for schools. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is Veterans Impact Show, and we're here for you, and we want to help you to help have hope and healing. Help, hope, and healing. Now my wife will let me finish. Bye.
That's it, Jim.
Welcome back, and thanks to our great sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage, Healing Thine Heart's Ministry, and Symbios Integrative Health. Now, let's get back to this conversation.
Man, I got to tell you, this has been one of the best programs that I've ever been involved in because the energy and passion and love of people that you bring. And I believe that I share that and Cedric shares that. I want to mention a couple of things real quick. Symbios Integrative Health. We're getting referrals back from the VA. If you're a former patient with Symbios, you want to come back, give us a call. I mean, I'm helping them out, volunteer. I want to see this grow, this technology grow, and I want to see people healed. And Michael, you're also a patient as well, right?
Yes. I love Symbios. I love the vector. Everything that Dr. Didi Edgemore is doing over there is phenomenal. We also are able to work with first responders. We also able to work with different police departments, fire departments, and so we'll be sitting down, coming to you, talking about how we can take care of your whole department from a mental and physical well-being standpoint. So look us up at Symbios, and we're excited to help and heal people.
Well, Mike, I have to tell you, I'm looking at introducing Symbios and Dr. D I'm the chaplain for the Prosper Police Department.
Beautiful.
And I'm very good friends with Chief Kowalski and Assistant Chief Brewer up here, and looking to engage them with Prosper, Frisco, McKinney. We work very closely together from a police department perspective, and we want to get Symbios into all of those places.
And we're getting, let me just tell you, we're working with Tarrant County and with Dallas Police Department. One of the things we're going to do with Tarrant County and Sheriff Bill Wayborn is a pilot program for the veterans that are inmates in the jail. We're going to see what we can do to help them. Not a handout, but a real hand up. And I think that's an amazing thing, because if you can get your head right, and you know, this is something that's real important. You get your head right, then you can get everything else going the right direction. And I also want to thank Fairway Independent Mortgage. My MLS number is 311548. I specialize in working with seniors in 6 states, Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas, in helping them understand and navigating how using a reverse mortgage, how using that home equity can benefit to them. So that is something that I've been passionate about for 20-something years.
Wow.
And Cedric, our Healing Thine Hearts ministry that you do for marriage counseling, amazing. Boots on, boots off training that really helps veteran families. Thank you for
the connection we like to have. You know, Jim, you mentioned Heart Fellowship. That's our church, right? And Healing Thine Heart is our counseling ministry. And a lot of people, they avoid church, right, for feeling that they're going to be preached at. But Healing Thine Hearts, listen, we're here to do just that, to help you heal the heart. We are faith-based. We are biblically founded. But we're not going to preach at you. I always say if preaching fixed everything, then everybody in church would be perfect. And that's not the case. But sometimes we need to sit down, and that's what we do at Healing Thine Hearts. And I'm so thankful for Jim to be working with us. And we want to help as many vets, athletes, people, men, women, families to do the best we can to heal this nation.
Yeah, you just did a deal that I got to participate in with families, with kids, teenage kids, and that was an amazing. All right, one more time, Mike.
Yes.
Go to what?
ProLiving.life. You can find us at ProLiving.life, or you can Google Shamiku Amore, and now everything that I do will come up from that standpoint. And do we do final remark? Are we gonna do a final remark? 3 words? I'll tell you, one of the things that I always hang my hat on, and I hope this bless somebody that's listening. There's 3 things that I believe that you need to have to be successful in any industry, anything in your life: faith, patience, and resources. Faith, knowing that God, whatever you put your mind to, that God is going to be able to see you through. Secondly is that patience. It took you 9 months to be developed and formed in your mother's womb. It takes 3 to 5 years to get a business off the ground. Whatever that you want to be able to do in life, you have to have patience to be able to see everything come together, to be able to line up how God has purposed it, because timing is everything. The last thing that I would tell you that you need to have is resources. You can be the smartest person in the room, but if you don't have the resources and the funds and the people to be able to get your vision and your passion off the ground, it'll forever be a dream. So if you're able to accomplish and achieve faith, patience, and resources, no matter what you put your mind to, you can be able to achieve it and you'll be successful. Mind you that I had brain surgery. I faced death a couple times, and God has been able to see me still here today be successful. I guarantee you, you'll be able to achieve those things that you put your heart to.
And that's what we're all about. That is what we're all about. Here's the kind of help with what he's doing and what Cedric is doing with marriage and families. This is what we're all about: help, hope, and healing. You got to have hope. And I got to tell you, I'm an ordained chaplain. Cedric is an ordained minister. And Michael, I'm beginning to think you walk on water.
We're all ministers. That's right.
We really are.
Yes.
And that's the thing. We all love people.
Yes.
So tune in, plug in, be a part of what we're doing, and share this program, because there is a kid who needs to hear this message. There is an athlete that needs to hear this message. There is a soldier and sailor, airman who needs to hear this message. It is absolutely critical that we get out there and we bring this to the public. So Cedric and I are working on having a Bible study that'll be online. We did a symposium. We're going to do another one here in another few months. And I think we're going to have Mike being a part of that, without a doubt. So it is important that you tune in, plug in, and be a part of what we're doing to serve you and to help you. So I like to close with a prayer. Brother Cedric, why don't you pray us out?
All right, we can do that. Father, we thank you for this time today. We thank you that there is fellowship and collaboration. Father God, you said, how can two walk together except they agree? And we agree on the job that you have given us. Lord God, we thank you for like minds and like hearts, people who are willing to literally personify love, which is sacrifice time, sacrifice effort, and take those things that you've given us and to help your people. So Father God, we ask that you be with us as we go, work with us, let us work together with others. And Father God, do what only you can do. Make this country, bring us back together to be one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And thank you. Thank you, Cedric. Mike, thank you.
God bless you.
I think this has been an amazing show. Please join us, follow us, be a part of it. This is Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you, and we're here to bring you help and hope and healing. Have a great day. Have a great, great life. Thank you.